Hi, my name is Nicole Lasham, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Rainbow Times, New England's largest LGBTQ newspaper since 2006. Throughout these past 12 years, we've covered issues not only relating directly to the LGBTQ community, but also all of our individual, shared, and collective identities. This year, we wanted to sit down with the Salem At-Large City Council candidates and incumbents to find out exactly where they stand on the issues that impact all of us, especially those of us that live, work, play, and thrive in Salem. I'd like to thank all of the candidates that took the time to sit down with us in this intensive one-on-one interview, giving us for more than 45 minutes of their time so that you could understand, so that I could understand, so that we could collectively understand where exactly they stand on these issues. Those that participated were Melissa Faulkner, Conrad Prusnewski, George McCobb, Domingo Dominguez, Ty Hapworth, Alice Merkel, Elaine Milo, and last but not least, Jeff Cohen. Although all candidates were invited to participate, unfortunately, Belle Stedman and Gary Gill declined to be interviewed for the series. Likewise, Art Sargent was not able to be reached via email or phone and did not reply to our requests. On behalf of the Rainbow Times, its management and staff, our publisher, Grayson Ocasio, and myself, we thank you for watching this series. We hope that you learn just as much as we did. Let's get started. Domingo, thank you so much for coming in and sitting with us to chat about your campaign, your re-election campaign. This year, it's great to have you here.
Pleasure, Nicole. Thank you for having me here. This is a great show that I hear a lot of good comments about it. So thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. You are running a re-election campaign. You just spent your first session in City Council. How did it go for you?
Oh, actually, I enjoy what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. For me, it is like a continuation of what I've been doing all my life. As you know, I ran 4 times before I got elected. Mm-hmm. 15 years of campaigning actually result on me being elected, which I thank the residents of Salem that give me the opportunity to represent them. So it's been a very, very excellent experience on my end.
Good. What do you think led to, actually, let me rephrase that. What did you learn those first times that you ran that changed for you the last time when you ran and won?
One thing that I learned that is very clear is that we have a lot of people who care about Salem. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that love Salem and they are participating and involved. And in a different view, which is make it great. And that's giving me a very intention to continue to work hard to represent everybody in Salem.
Mm-hmm. When you say everybody, there's a lot of people that have been traditionally left out of Salem politics in various ways. One of those communities is the Latino community. Another one is the LGBTQ community. Another one is trans-specific community. And a lot of the disabled community, obviously, as well. And so where are you in terms of what you've already covered in City Council? Have you proposed anything specific to help move the Latino community forward?
That's a great question, Nicole. I think that as we know, Salem is a very diverse community. Mm-hmm. When I mean diverse, I don't mean only on ethnics. I think on different groups that represent different views. Mm-hmm. In my position as a city councilor at large, you have to keep in mind that this is my first 2 year, and every 2 years you had to learn your base, making sure that you really be effective. Mm-hmm. That's what I've been concentrating myself, establishing myself. I happen to be the chairman for the Economic and Development committee. And in my second term, if I get elected, if I get fortunate and other people let me, I will be able to produce a little bit more in that regard. But to mention you something that I have done, I started a conversation series among different groups. The intention of those conversations is to bring people input, making sure that everybody feel that their voice counts, regardless of what group they represent. Because I feel that what makes any city strong is the united, the inclusiveness, the diversity. And I think Salem is very rich on that. So we need to produce in that regard. So what you're going to see in my next 2 years, you're going to see some action in that regard.
What do you have in mind? Do you have something specific?
Basically, I wanted to continue the conversation, make it to a bigger and larger scale, reach out to everybody, like the way I've been doing it before, and make sure that the conversation is starting one-on-one. I wanted to sit down with different groups and hear their concern. And after I hear their concern, I will formulate my plan based on their input.
Okay. Has the Latino community given you any input so far in terms of what the needs are?
Well, some needs arrive. As you know, the Latino community is very vibrant.
Yes.
And we have unfortunately or not, a location where the majority exist and live the point. And there are so many issues down there. But you have to keep in mind also, and I wanted to mention this because this is a part of what I learned, that in some way kind of teach me the way the city council, the city government work in Salem. I'm the city councilor at large. I had to work with the city councilor of any given ward.
Yes.
So if I don't partner up, if we don't have that partnership very clear and strong, my work is limited because we cannot step on the toes of any ward councilor. So what I'm looking for in my next 2 years is to get a stronger relationship with the ward councilor, especially Ward 1, making sure that we have some action together to target those issues or those areas of concern that this community face.
And who is, remind me, who is Ward 1?
Bob McCarthy.
Bob McCarthy, that's right. How do you see the housing crisis in Salem improving?
How did I see the housing crisis in Salem improving? I think that for the most part, Salem is being tackling the issue. But I feel that we need to be more aggressive because this is a crisis right now. A crisis that doesn't start right now. And I'm very honest to say that we've seen too little done before or no balance on the tools that we are bringing in. When I say no balance, and I want to explain myself on that, is that we have creating for the last couple of years too many housings that doesn't really fit the needs of the most needed one. When I mean the most needed one, I mean senior, veterans, and minorities, or new immigrants. It's time that we focus on those groups now, because those are the most vulnerable one, the one that if we don't do nothing now, we're going to reach the most important thing that we have in Salem, which is diversity. We're going to have a very exodus of many people leaving to other communities where they can afford.
Right, and it's happening already,
Absolutely.
right?
It is
And
happening right now. So we need to be aggressive and we need to do something quick.
And what do you think, what can be done now to move that faster?
This is my proposal, and I happen to be talking to so many people about it. I think that we need to sit down and create a plan. A plan that we need to stay with time frame, say 2-3 year plans, where we can bring all of the tools that we have. I think the administration is bringing great tools, but it's lacking a little bit of some planning or input from other groups, and there is no consensus. And I think that we need to bring the private sector, meaning by that the developers, the business sector, the community, the elected official at local, federal, and state level, and everybody together. We need to make that plan, and we need to stay with that plan. I don't know what is that plan, but I know that when you put a group of people together, you can come with some great ideas to tackle a situation that is actually, it is a crisis, it's a human crisis.
Do you support development in terms of building additional housing? Do you think that's needed or not?
I do support, but I support creation of housing on the needs that we have. Meaning by that, senior, veterans, and minority. We need to stay away a little bit from the high rock. People who can afford right now, I think that we did enough for them. Housing in general is needed, but I think that we need to focus on the one we need more, the bottom one, to make sure that we really balance it.
And do you propose that new buildings are constructed, or do you propose using the existing, maybe rundown buildings?
I do propose a combination of both when it's needed. I think that we need to produce house in any possible way.
How are people going to afford it in terms of, obviously the market rate for rent, for example, is very high and is getting higher in Salem, which is causing gentrification, and people are already leaving Salem, and we don't, when I say we, I'm talking in a collective with the people that submitted questions to us, with the people that are connected to the Rainbow Times in some way as well. We don't want to see Salemites leaving. And when I say Salemites, I'm not just talking about people who were born and raised and stayed here all their lives. I'm talking about them, but I'm also talking about transplanted Salemites and people like myself, for example.
Yeah,
who,
like me too.
Right, and like you or anyone else settling here. I don't want to leave Salem. I am very concerned about the cost of the rising rents, as are other people. What do we do to keep Salem affordable for those of us who have been here and who have helped the local economy flourish and who have helped create this sort of cultural hub? How do we all get to stay here if people are being pushed out already?
Salem has been historically a place where people live, raise their family, live and work, and we need to maintain that. We need to, like I said before, we need to create a plan. One of the things that we need to do is we need to create more jobs. And I mentioned that before. We need to make sure that we bring high-level class of jobs so we can also help on the economical side for the equation.
What do those jobs look like to you when you say high-level jobs?
When I say high, I mean job like Amazon. Maybe we need to see how can we partner up with big company, technological company that can set up in Salem so we can provide some type of employment. I think that we are concentrating too much on the hotel and restaurant industry. I think it's great, but I think that we need to bring more different type of job to the Salem arena so people can stay here and work here. And that will help set a balance the economic situation that we have that is traduced on high rent. So that's one part. The other thing that I feel that we need to do is we need to attract new businesses. Businesses or commercial taxes help alleviate the situation on residential taxes. So we need to bring new businesses to Salem. How are we going to do that? It's very simple. I think that if we create an incentive for new businesses to open here in Salem, we're going to see new people coming in, and that will help. So small thing like that will be created and will help a lot. One thing that I also feel that we need to do is to make it easy for the businesses that we have, the existing business that we have. We see North Shore Medical Center using a charter bus to bring the employee from where they live or for a given point to their job. I think that the city can provide that type of charter, so help alleviate some of the situation for the employee, so that can help them feel secure and feel more support by the city government. So those things will help alleviate the situation.
So do you support then, it sounds like you do, bringing in big business
I do.
into Salem?
I do.
Does that concern you at all in terms of the impact that will have on small businesses that are already here?
I think that what we see in today's economy is what we had to be able to allow in any given city. If we are not open to the real world, we are missing a lot. And I think that's the only way we can survive. I keep telling people we had to be able to grow with the time. We cannot stay like 20, 40 years. This is 2019, and we need to be able to do what is on right now on the table.
So you are a business development proponent. You are
I do.
for it. Okay. And then in terms of like accessibility, a lot of people have been talking about the streets of Salem and how someone maybe with a disability has a very hard time getting around, justifiably so. I mean, even if you just look at Derby Square, while the cobblestone is beautiful, I see great value in preserving the integrity of that cobblestone.
Yeah.
But I also see the extraordinary challenges, cobblestone and streets or sidewalks that are in really poor condition, the challenges that creates for someone who cannot get around as easily. And so if someone lives here in Salem or is a visitor in Salem and is spending money in Salem, shouldn't they be able to get around a little bit easier?
Absolutely agree with you, and that's what I mean when I say we need to be able to focus on all the diversity that we have in Salem. That's part of the diversity. We need to focus on the disability population who are growing, and we need to attend no matter what. And that's part of what we do we had to do as a government. And I proposed in my last conversation that I had that the city of Salem need to do a comprehensive plan. When I say comprehension, and meaning by that, don't only do a plan or study on certain type of situation that we have. We need to do a bigger picture, and we need to make sure that we see the four corner, making sure that anything that impact one corner will impact the entire city. So we need to keep in mind the disabled community. We need to keep in mind the traffic. We need to keep in mind the parking. So all of this combined and many more, we allow us to have the bigger picture of the situation, and then we can find a solution for it.
Speaking of traffic,
Yeah.
the Traffic and Parking Commission proposal has been sitting in one of the city council committees for 2 years. Why is it still sitting in
Okay,
committee?
way before I become a councilor, I understand that one of the situations still on the city councilor is that many of the councilors that work sometimes keep things in the committee to avoid facing the reality of any given point. When I first got elected, that was my first question. Why are we keeping everything in committee when we can produce some change? And that's what we was voting for. Why are we afraid? Why cannot face reality? So let's bring it out, let's discuss it, and let's vote it. Either way it's come, that's how it is, because people are waiting on us. I'm not really familiar with that ordinance. I'm not in that committee, but everything that is in front of me, I try to push it and I try to vote. I'm not afraid to make a decision based on my research, based on the question that I ask. I ask many questions. I don't know if you follow the meetings. I might not be the best communicator, but I am very I can say very common sense person that I really wanted to see things done.
And do you know which committee it's sitting in? Is it in OLA?
I don't know if I'm not sure, but
Okay.
But I had to tell you that OLA is one of the most active committee. I'm part of OLA, and I know Bob, who is the chairman, Bob McCarthy. He's very into any of the things. I doubt that it's in OLA. It's something that I can find out and let you know maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think that it is inexcusable to have a proposal, for example, the Traffic and Parking Commission? It was set up to expedite issues relating to traffic and parking quickly for residents, for visitors as they arise. Do you believe that the Traffic and Parking Commission that was already established and approved should be given the authority to be able to act on those issues as needed? Or should it be held back by the council and council act?
What I can tell you about is that I don't know the details, and I have to be honest with you, I need to know the fact before I say yes or no.
Okay.
One thing I can tell you is that we need to find tools that alleviate the situation in traffic, and that's my commitment, and I will concentrate. That's part of my platform for this next 2 years if I get elected. I want to sit down and have a conversation with anyone who can have ideas, so we can really target the situation and solve.
One of the complaints that people have cited is that it takes a very long time. Going beyond the Traffic and Parking Commission, past that, is that it takes a very long time for the council to actually come to votes on different scenarios. Do you think that, for example, remember when the Sanctuary for Peace came up, and that was a very long, drawn-out process, despite the fact there was no federal monies that were at risk of losing, and it didn't literally impact the city, but it did impact the immigrant community in terms of providing that sense of ease, saying like, okay, if there's a situation and I need to call the police, this ordinance gives me that peace of mind knowing that the police is not going to turn me into ICE. I have two questions really about this. First of all, should that have taken so long to get through city council before it ended up passing? Because it was a very long process. I was a part of that as well, and so many others in the city were.
Yeah.
So should it have taken that long to get through when it's really something that gives the immigrant community something a little stronger to hold on to feel comfortable?
I think it should be done quickly than it was done. That's my opinion. And I was in the impression, like many others, like you and many others, feel on that issue in particular before I got into the city council body. And I noticed that now that I'm in, it's a process. It's a lot of things that happen that many people do not know behind the scene that need to be done before you see any given result. We need to act quickly, but I think that we need to, if we wanted to see result quickly, we need to revise those rules that we use as a city government.
That's what I was going to ask you
which
as well.
are in some cases too all. Some, to be honest with you, some of them I don't understand it here. And some people who know, they know how to use it, and they use it on their own advantage. And sometimes the fear that some people feel at that moment allow them to use one of those tools to do what they need to do. We need to build a city council government with better tool and quickly tool. As you know, we have in life things that can wait, and there are others that cannot wait. You have emergency, and you have things that you can do it maybe in another time. I think that the city government need to have something like that. We have something that we need to act quickly. Let's do it quickly, and let's find a way to have it solved, because people are waiting. And in this case, particular one, it was about people, life. It's the same thing that we have now as the affordable housing crisis. We got people life between, and we need to act quickly. We cannot wait the process that happened 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Let's act quickly, and let's deliver the result that people expecting.
And in terms of the Sanctuary for Peace ordinance, some people are saying it needs to be strengthened. Some people would like to see it not in place at all, and other people are saying it's fine the way it is. Where do you stand on that?
This is my position in that. This is a topic that I'm very passionate about, because I'm part of that group. I keep telling people. And I used to say before, when people question me, I feel that I'm Sanctuary City. I am the face of Sanctuary City. I feel that we need to, not only on Sanctuary City, but in any other given topic, we need to come to reality in many things. And one of the reality that we have and we're facing is that in the political war, you're going to find good people, you're going to find people who are taking advantage of any situation. Someone told me before, you cannot use my strategy to advance your political ambition or something. And I feel that happened in this topic by many people in both sides. When it comes to this topic, I want people to come to the real people who really are separated by immigration, and see their faces and see their family. And those people are my family. Those people are my friend. So those people, I know it, and I had to tell you that I'm part of that group in a different capacity. I have cousins, I have aunts, and I have friends who have been deported. So I feel firsthand what it is. On the other hand, like I said, I don't like people to use that, to use my strategy to advance their political agenda. If they're going to do it, let's do it. That's my point. If we want to do Sanctuary City, let's go, let's do it. Let's go to the federal level and make it happen. Let's create a movement that's going to make it happen. Let's do it. I am Sanctuary City, and I'm in favor of Sanctuary City. And I think even though it doesn't really do that much, it was necessary to happen. And I think that we need to continue to work on it. One other thing that I like to say about it, the world do not stop right here. And that's what I see, because it's a political topic. How about now? Are we talking about Sanctuary City, or are we talking about the necessity that group still have? I face that necessity every day, on a daily basis. So don't tell me that you're going to talk about the solution of something temporary on my end for one day, and when you got elected, or when things happen in a different way, you're going to forget about me. That's not what I mean. I mean, let's stay with the issue, and let's work with the issue, and that's what I am right now. I voted in favor, and I will support it. I don't have to tell people that I am a Sanctuary City.
Right. And do you support strengthening the document that's
I
already
do.
there?
I do. Okay. Big time.
What? Hold on, I'm sorry. The iPad decided to stop on me. Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate
Very
your
welcome.
answers. In terms of Sanctuary, obviously Sanctuary started, with churches welcoming immigrants and protecting them essentially from the government, right? I'm wondering about your stance on the separation of church and state, meaning when you are in city council making decisions that affect everyone who may or may not share your same religious beliefs, how do you reconcile voting for the betterment of everyone versus voting in what's aligned with your faith?
Great question, Nicole, I had to tell you. And I had to tell you that I initially begin by saying that I learned a lot in this position. And I had to admit that also the thing that I learned, that me as a person is me as a counselor is another person. And I understood that clearly right now. I made the separation of these two functions. And that's why I keep having the conversation with people. I have to bring not my concern when I'm voting. I bring the majority concern when I'm voting, based on fact, based on consensus. My belief is one thing, which I'm not trying to pursue anyone to keep it. I'm very fortunate enough to have many friends from different beliefs that I respect, that I admire. But I understand that as a city council, I cannot touch that. That's very delicate, and I learned from my mistake. And I actually publicly wanted to say that I commit I would say not a mistake, but I also maybe a part of my beginning understanding the function, that I did something that offended some people, that wasn't really my intention. And I just wanted to say that, to be clear.
Okay.
I hope that I answered your question.
Yeah, so you do believe that when you're voting in behalf of
I'm
the
voting
city
as a councilor,
council,
not as a Domingo
yes.
Dominguez person.
When you are voting and something conflicts perhaps with your faith, but you know that it's in the best interest for the city, do you align then with what's in the best interest of the city?
Absolutely, absolutely. Not mistaking that anybody, any human being had their own belief, no matter what. I can tell you no, but at the end of the day, everybody believes on something, everybody feels in a different way. My point is that I don't have to combine my belief with the people believe this. People believe I had to align myself with what is the best interest for the city.
Thank you, because you know, obviously, at the national level right now, religion is being used by a lot of different politicians to take rights away from people. I mean, the immigrant community is super, as you know better than anyone, under attack, and the atrocities and abuses that are occurring under ICE and this government are atrocious. And yet some people are still justifying it and using religion as a guise to be able to, you know, it's just...
That is a perfect example of what he's trying to tell you on regard of politics. People use it in different ways,
right.
in different sides. And now they're using religion, or they're using immigration, or they're using whatever term to advance their agenda. And I don't really like that.
Right. What is your stance on the LGBTQ community?
Okay, I'm very clear on that from day one. And I had to bring, even though it's, and I'm going to talk to you now as Domingo Dominguez, the person, and then after the councilor, in both ways, to answer your question, if I may. I'm very fortunate, like I said, enough to have many friends in different backgrounds. I am one of the, I believe, one of the person that immigrated from Dominican Republic in my early days. Meaning by that my formation was here in the United States, kind of, even though I can maybe big enough. So I'm very open to understand that no matter what you believe, no matter what you want it to be, no matter what clothes you use, you're still my sister, you're still my brother, and whatever you decided to be, I still love you. Love doesn't have any color. Love doesn't have any barrier. Love doesn't have any condition. I was taught by my mom to love everyone. And I love everyone, regardless of what. Because what I see is that sometimes people who judge others, they don't see their condition. And I can see myself, I see my mistake. I know I'm not perfect. I see myself in so many mistakes. And because of that, people are going to judge me and doesn't. So what I do, if I do the same to others. So now as a city council, I had to repeat myself, like I said, this is a love situation that we all had to embrace. We had to be inclusive. I'm part of the Latino community. How will I feel if I discriminate again? Eki or no Eki group. And I say, people discriminate on me, don't discriminate on me. That's not fair. So the way I feel is that we all had to live together. We had to love each other. We had to understand each other. We had to communicate each other. And we had to help each other to continue to be the world that we are, the better world. And that doesn't have to do with any. When I mean any, I don't mean only on gender. I mean on any capacity, economic or color, shape, way of conducting your life. If you drink or you don't drink, if you do whatever you want to do, if you have many wives, you don't have many wives. This is a human being. Human being is human being, and that's my point. Hopefully, I answered your question.
You did. There is a question from Felipe that lives here in Salem.
Oh, wow.
And Felipe was talking about the disparities in the cleanliness and maintenance of streets in wealthy areas versus in poor areas. And so the question literally reads as, there's a clear disparity in the cleanliness and street maintenance of Salem neighborhoods, with poor areas being less clean and less maintained than wealthier ones. What policies and strategies would you pursue to fix this problem?
Thank you, Felipe, for that question. That's a great question. I think that this is why we need to continue to get involved. And I applaud him to send that question, because that brings some topic that need to be on the table. I had to say that we need to go back to the point where we talk about how the city government works. We need to know that we have ward councilors in each 7th district. and we have councilor at large that represent the entire city. If we have issue with any of the ward, first is the councilor of ward that you need to contact it and make sure that he addresses any concern or any issue. In collaboration with the councilor at large, and in collaboration with the whole body, in collaboration with the administration, in collaboration with the community. I had to say that in that regard, we need to focus a little bit more into that functionality of the government to make sure that this unbalance change. And the other topic that I wanted to bring is that we need also to educate our community, any given community, how to function in a level that everybody produce. That's one thing. The other thing is the census. The census is translated into political power and economical power. We're going to end that when we let people count everybody in the same level and we continue to be one community. So that's part of what thing that I bring to the table that need to be addressed and we need to find solutions.
Tell me about your view on the climate crisis. The scientists have upgraded it from climate change to climate crisis. First, do you believe that we are in a climate crisis?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you do at a local level? I mean, there are obviously little things that everyone can do to help our environment. What do you think at a city level we can do to contribute to positively changing the climate crisis around?
Salem being a coastal city, I think that we need to address that quickly, not tomorrow, today. And one of the things that I propose is that we continue to collaborate with the group, environment group that are working with Salem. I think that Salem have been proactive on that and been approaching and be partnered up with some group that help in the environment. But we can do little things in local that will help. One other thing that I think that I feel that we're missing is partnering with Salem State University and the scientific department to provide some type of education for the general population in regard to how can we help avoid any situation that will translate into climate change situation. Educating the population by getting into carpool, continue to have some pilot program on how can people use less car and also continue to use solar panel. So those combinations together will help a little bit for us to continue. I see that some of the action that Salem had took, like the plastic bag. I think that we need to do the same thing with the straw, so that can help alleviate the situation.
Okay. Have you heard about a business improvement district, and if so, do you support one in Salem?
I think that we need to very careful take a look, because what I see lately is that we're focusing too much in one area and forgetting the other area. My understanding is that we need to take care the whole picture before we continue to advance to the next level. I think that we're doing good, but we can do better. I think that there is some area that need some attention before we think about other which are necessary to happen. And I think that we need to be very smart and very careful when we create any new things. What I mean, we have population that are very dense. We have the affordable housing crisis. We might have some other issues that might arise because of the dense population, and I want to be clear on that. The point, we have some situation recently for some shooting. I think that's reflect that something is in there that need to be fixed. We and the administration and the whole city have done a lot in the point, but I think that we need to address a little bit more.
Like
we need
what?
to be like the shooting in the point, the overpopulated point, the trash on the point, maybe the traffic on the point. So many issues that we have over there. The youth not being in a program to follow up after school. The school need to be addressed. So all of these components, we need to make sure that we had it on control before we advance to other. I feel that downtown area, Lately, we put a lot of attention, which is good. It's vibrant, very nice, good to happen. And I applaud the administration for doing this. But I think that we don't want to forget about downtown. Let's now focus a little bit in other areas that we can create an impact and continue to grow.
Would you support adding additional funding to support different programs like exactly what you were talking about in the point, for example, to get better maintenance of the areas? Because it kind of ties right into Felipe's question, really.
Absolutely.
About,
absolutely. I'm pro that. And I've been telling everybody that. I think, when we create anything, we need to think about what kind of program we're going to have to support the people who live in given area. And that's what we're missing. We're missing that. We need to create more and have the youth, especially the youth, involved, and so they can be out of the street and they can be more productive.
How do you propose that? How do you do that? Like, how do you get the youth more involved?
How you get the youth more involved? Okay, by getting some grants or some funds from federal or state level. I think that we have great partners at the state level that I think that if we sit down with them, we can find solutions in that regard. But I think that in keeping involved in the community and the group that are working in the community, we continue to help. We're seeing a lot of progress, especially in the point with basketball. Lately, you see this summer you see the celebration of basketball league, 3 or 4 basketball league, softball league. So we need to continue to encourage them to continue to do that and help them and give them the possibility to continue to grow.
If you had to choose 3 issues that are your priorities for this next upcoming, not just the election cycle, but if you were reelected again, what are your top priorities in the council?
Affordable housing, traffic and parking, and civic engagement. Civic engagement are my top topic for priority.
Okay. So Domingo, some people have said that you align very much so with some of the more conservative voices on the council. For example, after the horrific shooting in the Point, you had an event that was going on in almost all of the more conservative voices were at the event that you held in the Point post-shooting. And that's not the only time people have said, and I mean, your Facebook account shows that you're very open with it. You're in a lot of pictures with the more conservative voices. For somebody that has been interviewed, like throughout this interview, I should say, you have seemed someone who wants to be inclusive, who is more forward-thinking with his ideas. And so what is going on with those accusations of who you are aligning with?
Happy that you asked me that question, Nicole, because I like to address it, because I hear that before. And I hear that in many cases. But I wanted to answer this question by saying that when I got elected by the majority of the people, no aligning with no one on me. And I'm a very independent person. And I tried to make my decision based on the best interests of the city of this resident of Salem. Happened that in this particular incident, I was the one organizer. I invite everybody. I invite anybody from any group. And I understand that there's 2 groups here. Unfortunately or not, we had to admit it. There's a division in Salem. Big time. But my simple answer to that is I want you to see the way of voting on city council. I'm not aligned with no one. When I say no, it's because I already hear from my constitution that that's not appropriate. When I say yes, it's because I feel that is what people want. In conclusion, I'm not part of any group. I am Domingo Dominguez, who wanted to serve the entire city of Salem. The same thing, people thought at the beginning that I would be the councilor for the Latino only. And I was elected to be the councilor for the entire city. And I proved that. And I will continue to prove people that I'm not in this position to serve any particular group. I got good friends in both sides. I think I'm the only councilor, to be honest with you, that can reach out to the other aisle with no problem. And I can tell you how and when. We had incidents, we had situations inside of the city government where they want to vote one way or another, and I declined my position to let others advance. I had no problem with that. Why? Because I think that's the only way that city government is going to function. It's not about you. When I say you, personal basis, it's not about me as a person. It's about the veteran of the resident of Salem that we're discussing when we sit down in city council. So the answer is no. I'm very open-minded, independent. I like independent. You see my platform is based that I love to be independent because nobody owns me. And I also wanted to make sure that people understand that if you elect anyone, it's not to be in one side or another. It's to do the best of the majority for the betterness of the majority, and to advance and move the city forward and make sure that the cities get prosperous.
Okay. A question for clarification. Post shooting, when you said that you invited a bunch of people to that event in the Point, did you reach out to all of the city councilors or only some?
No. Now and then, that social media, you don't have to do it personally. You have to do an invite on Facebook, and people responded based on their disponibility. I do a Facebook invite, and I invite everybody the same way I did. I don't call no one. It is a issue that pretend to be for the entire city. That's one thing that I wanted to address too. People think that's because in the Point had only to deal with the Point, and what happened in the Point affect the entire city. If you are an elected official, you need to feel part of that. If you are a resident of Salem, you need to feel part of what happened in the Point or what happened in Gallows Hill or anywhere, because this is our city and we need to see it that way. So I made the invite for everybody to come and see some issue that we have in our city at this moment in the Point neighborhood that we need to address as a city, especially as a city government. Why? Because I think that we have the responsibility to create a conversation and to make sure that we address the issue that we have to make a better city, not only for us as a generation, but for the next generation. I had 2 grandchildren, and I am proud, and I'm going to take the opportunity to say that I'm going to have my 3rd grandchild next month. And happened that we have the baby shower. It's going to be another boy. I'm so happy, and that's part of what made me continue to work hard to be a representation for all, because I want to make a better city for my 3 grandchild so they can continue to live the life that I live in Salem.
Well, congratulations on the new grandbaby.
Thank you.
And thank you for the clarification. So you did send Facebook invites to all of the councilors?
To everyone.
Okay.
Everyone who have Facebook should be seeing, and you can see it on Facebook that I made the invite for the day to everybody to come for a community conversation.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for that clarification, Domingo.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for coming in, Domingo.
Thank you for having me here and to make me feel so welcome and so relaxed. You're a great host, and I wish you the best. And I wanted to say that what you're doing in our community is very valuable, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.